Hello. Okay, we are live right from the start, I think. I have my tea. I have something to lean the phone against so I can see the chat, which I'm not seeing right now, so hold on. Okay. Because I don't have YouTube on. Hold on, YouTube, I'm coming. View my own channel. There I am, sunny side up. Oop, there's no sound. Okay. First I wave hello. And the next we say peace, man. The only way. We can't do anything until we first make peace. That's going to take a lot of heart. A lot of people have to give up the idea they're right. I have to be right, and if I'm not, I'll kill you. So we got to give that kind of thing up. And when we're ready to stop the killing, we will create a good place. Okay, but in the meantime, I have a bad thing here. This represents a couple of fails. Hey, Gary. So, just to start, this represents a couple of fails. Now, I used the big piece of styrofoam. So, first problem was getting the stuff around the corners evenly and making sure that the seams were right, because instead of having one seam all around, like when I do, like this, a flat thing, it's got 6 seams. So one of the seams I can see through. That's bad. 2, I wanted this, if you hold this up to the light, you can see how lacy this really is. Unfortunately, it's not lacy enough, and instead of going straight up, it flared out. But the worst of it, even though some people did not notice it, they think it's part of the intentional design, this red here and around here, my red sari silk bled into the oil, and it was when I went to wash it out, I was washing out purple water, which should not have happened at all. See, this pink blotches going into the sky blue, and I needed it to be really clean because I wanted the red to be a very strong accent without being bulky. You know, I just wanted it to be like, you know, like a red lightning through the blue and the purple, and instead it's more shimmery looking to me. So it felted nicely. It reduced by almost 50% in height, and sideways I'm going to say at least 2 inches in, full inch in on either side. This shrunk out really well. That just wasn't the problem, it's just the other parts that are a problem. Fortunately, I've got plenty of this so I can do it again, but I also did not want this much purple, actually. I wanted the purple to be a little more of an accent. So we're going to redo this, and I'll have time to rethink it, because I need to order the right colors. Well, I know, but it's, since it won't stand up or do what I intended for it to do, it's like it's not good. I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but it's not up to my standards, and I'll find something to do with it because I don't want to waste materials, you know. And you know, that was a lot of hours of work. And I don't expect to get paid for my time, especially since it's now illegal for me to get paid for my time, or I lose my apartment. That's a federal law now. Isn't that nice of them? They're so considerate of the poor. We want you to stay poor, and if you make a single penny, no, we're cutting you off. You prove you can make some money, that means you can be out on your own. That's the principle. So, yeah. One poor woman here who's very kind of emotionally just barely able to keep it together, rough life. She crochets. She's the one that figured out how to do the cat face. She's really talented. Now she may sell one little thing in a year, you know. She makes gifts too, but she's as poor as I am, and 3 times my size. So she needs what she gets, and she's stuck in a wheelchair, etc. Well, we got that deal where you have to sign it, and I warned her. I said, do not tell anybody that you were going to go and do one of those little neighborhood flea market-y things, because she paid for a spot so she could sell some of her stuff, and I said, you can't do it. You better come up with an alias or something, and don't bring any money, don't run any money through your, none of it, because you will lose your apartment. And sure enough, I told her in the nick of time, but she was still freaked out when she got her new lease today. That's what happened when I got my lease and I got the new deal. It's like, all right, well that ended Twitch, because I can't make any money on Twitch. I'm not allowed to, now with YouTube it doesn't matter, because I never ever intended to monetize this site, because I don't want that kind of traffic. And or those ads. I don't even know what kind of ads you're getting, but do let me know, because I blocked what I can, but I can't do everything. Like, I don't want anybody seeing pharmaceutical ads. I don't think they should be legal. The United States is the only country in the entire world that allows for pharmaceutical ads. And, damn. Oh, well, they just took a huge amount. I mean, people do not understand the gravity of Elon Musk going into our stuff and stealing all of the entire nation, every single social security number. He's got our addresses, how we voted, he's got our phone numbers, he's got all of our bank accounts. They have control of everything, and that's what those data centers are for, as they increase the control and surveillance. And that's why they're buying up warehouses and for a lot of money in we're way out places in the country to hide them from public view, where they're hiding people and plan to hide us. So it's more than, you know, I am very much against conspiracy theories, and you know, I started the channel to get rid of, well, you can't get rid of everything, but to basically fight the psychic community, because I am one, and the frauds and the scamsters stealing people's money and lying to them, making them afraid you have a hoax on you, or you're suffering from a past life issue, and if you want to be really safe, send me your son's toothbrush and $5,000, and don't forget your wedding band, and I'll take care of you. I'll bury it all in my backyard, especially that $5,000, and you'll be safe. So that's what made me start Intuitube, fighting against all of that. Oh my goodness. Really? I can't afford to go and pay subscriptions like that. I just put the phone face down during the ads. Anyway, enough whining. Because today, first of all, I needed to check my blues. So I want to make another vessel, and I would use some of this luscious aqua, but it's, first of all, I got all the aqua for my 100-year-old scarf, but also that was not what he wanted. He loves like this kind of blue. This is my finest merino. It's 19 micron. It is one of the, well, I'm not going to say one of the more expensive, because I learned that you can go way up there for your wools depending on where it's from, and like, it's $10 for 2 ounces of organic, gently raised, you know, humanely, definitely. I'd say lovingly raised and unfortunately then eaten, but first, lots of their wool. And some of them are never eaten, but anyway. It's $10 for 2 ounces, and I can't afford that right now. And this, oh, I love this merino wool. This, I mean, the really fine stuff. It's all very soft. Everything I've got here is suitable to wear against your skin. It won't make you itch, although the loose ones will make you sneeze. Oh, good. I'm so happy for you. You need to rest. Now this is Corriedale, and I've got to go look at my receipts because I think this will be perfect. I have wool everywhere because I've been cleaning the towels, and the towels, when you wash them and they've had little threads, they do, it felts itself. So you end up with these little felt balls, and right now I've got everything in the air. Anyway, this is a beautiful blue. It's a Corriedale, and it's a little stiffer. It's more like 21 micron. It's still fine for your skin, but it's not as silky as the merino, fine merino. All basically it's, well, it's Corriedale, so it's different sheep. Anyway, it's a beautiful wool, and I want to get more of that, and then I can do the project again, because this by itself is not going to be quite enough, even with white. And I'm not going to do that three-dimensional thing like I did yesterday, because that's where I messed up my corners, and I'm going to do it flat. But we're first going to do what I got so excited about when I did my son's gift. I'm going to make a beret. It'll be my first actual beret. So, la 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 la. I'm so excited that I can do that. Okay, that is going to be a template for my friend's. She wants to make a bag for her sister. So her sister has something to carry her little pad around in. So I'm hoping that will be big enough. But we're learning about how much shrinkage you do have to plan for all that shrinkage. Because you have to count on your shrinkage. Okay, let me get the one. Nope. Okay, where to go? That's the one I just used to make. My word, where did it go? No, it's definitely bigger than that. No. Nope. It's just the raw material. That might be the end of it. That's why I'm down to using this again. Okay. It has to be here. It couldn't have gone very far. Usually I toss things over here to dry, and sometimes they slip out of sight, and I've got to go rescue. I think that's just raw material. Oh, look what I have. What the hell is it doing over there? This feels like merino. Alright, we're going to do a quick test. Make sure this is not synthetic. I believe so. have to add more water because this soapy water is too strong. I used to use my, years ago, to play Scrabble before it had, iPad. Well, you know, yeah, I was able to play a version on Kindle, I thought, for a while. And then when I couldn't play on the Kindle anymore, it's like, well, screw this. But then I discovered while waiting online, and down in Pennsylvania, okay, this is the real deal. That's real, Will. Okay, that felted immediately. Good. Yeah, once Amazon no longer had the license for it, I couldn't use it on the Kindle. So I put it on the phone. And I remember Richard and I were playing, but because he's in Ireland, he ended up with a problem, and it actually froze. And he never was able to get it out of the freeze position. So we installed Words with Friends. Now, I don't play anybody but him on Words with Friends because I didn't want a second program, but I couldn't play with him otherwise. So we play that every night. He makes his moves when he goes to bed, and I make mine before I go to bed. Okay. Clearly I'm going to have to make another one. It can't be so. I'm looking for my circle template that I made the first thing with, because it was the exact right size. For my own head. It was like made to order, except I didn't make it. All right. I will go get the hat. Too bad. Those make adorable little vessels. They're useless. Although actually, if I made them more transparent, they'd be awesome with tea lights in them. Especially if you had like a row of them. Not big enough. I guess it's gonna be made out of that. Alright, I gotta go get the hat. Now this is what it's shrunk down to, so obviously it has to be like, that's the outside edge right there, because it's going to shrink like crazy. Okay. Good to know. We don't want that side cut. I don't trust myself without a compass, but I don't have a compass anymore. So let me do an old other kind of a trick. Where is that marker? Let's see. a push pin. Oh, I know. There's starch on this. It feels funny. Oh, stay on there. Oh, I'm getting a cramp in my hand. Don't have to hold that. Not quite around, and let's do a little there. Now, there is a method, shibori. It's a felting method to make big pieces that look like grapes and such, but they're hollow inside, so it doesn't weigh anything. And when you make it out of felt, of course, it doesn't weigh anything. But it looks really cool when you got a group of them together to decorate a hat or something like that. And now if I'm going to make a hat, it's like, oh, I could always do some of that fancy stuff. You know, for the last several years I've been saying, I have to replace my compass. Actually, what I could use is a circle cutter. Actually, a whole studio! Start daydreaming. So I used to have a lot of different tools, but every time you move, you know, you've got different circumstances. some things just get left behind. Like my first big easel. I should have recognized that Glenn was an asshole back then, when I think about it. But oh well. Alright, let's see how this looks with a actual rounder version up here. I think we can still take some of that off. The thing about relationships is you have to have a bad one to know what a good one is sometimes. Unless you had exceptionally good parenting. If your parents were amazing examples of how to live happily ever after, then you are in the vast minority for one thing, but also really lucky, because most people can't say that. Okay, so Gary, you have a flair for color, don't you? There's a new game called, oh yeah, I've heard about that. It's so pretty if it's a bird or a flower? I don't know what you mean. New game. You can make content, okay. Oh, how cute! Aww. Little island, a lot of houses. Everybody's ideal to be able to run away to an island and get away from the crazy people. Live your own life without anybody giving you shit. That would be rare. But oh so awesome. Alright, I am going to get some fresh water. Now, I need a color, Gary. What color does this pale white face with gray and blue hair look good in? What colored beret should I make? Now, I gotta tell you about a bargain I had through my grocery store. I got their house brand purple and blue, both colors. Well, that's an interesting idea. Like I was just making. Now let's see, Gary. No, I don't think this is going to work as a hat. Unless it's meant to be some kind of a billboard hat. Oh, that's awful. Alright, what if we folded everything in? It would have to be ironed to stay in. Just hold on there. That beret. Cabaret, I see something already been put into works. Emma! You were on my mind this week. How are you, darling girl? Fold the other way? What, you mean out? Now it makes me think of Robin Hood. Or some kind of a jester. Or I could turn those into some kind of animal ears. Well, I know it's been too long. In the state of the world, believe me, I have concerns about all my beloveds all over the world. Gary, you know Emma. Anyway, I made a beautiful gift for my son, and I was making something for his husband, but it didn't do what I wanted it to do. So now I've got this felted vessel thing, and I don't know what I'm going to use it for. But I'm definitely not going to send it to him because it's definitely not what I wanted. I started, you started dating. Oh, oh, that does my heart so much good. Wow. That's wonderful news. Send it to you for clothespins. I don't think so. I know you're joking, but no, I already put so much into it. I don't think clothespins is what I'd want it for. But I am going to make a hat for myself today. So let me choose my colors. I should probably look at some of my clothes. For instance, I've got that mint green dress. Let me get the dress. Oh, no, it's in the laundry. I wore it yesterday. Okay, let's go. You said purple and blue. I don't have any purple outfits. I do have that pink dress. Hold on. Okay, so sadly one. Steadily. One special yet. Oh, no one special yet? Take your time. Usually, I tell people their first relationship is, matter of fact, sometimes our first 3 or 4 relationships. It's our learning process. You find out what a relationship is, what you want to give to one, what you want to get from one. And without checking those things out personally, you'll never know what your preferences are. Because it takes a while to get to know a person. And unfortunately, there are a lot of narcissists out there that will talk up the moon and stars to you, but that's only so they can get your trust, and then they try to isolate you from the rest of the world so they can abuse you. So there's a lot of good reasons to take your time and get to know someone before you declare them your one and only. You know how a lot of people say, oh, if I knew then what I know now. It's like, well, if you took your time instead of getting run by your hormones, you would have figured it out before it was too late. Okay, so I've got this wild stuff here. Check that out. That is way brighter than anything I have worn since I was 16 into the Beatles. I have a ton of this salmon pink, but that's the wrong color. And then I've got this gorgeous salmon, but it's also the wrong color. No. No. Oh gosh, golly darn it, gee. Nay. That's the closest I've got. That's too garish for a hat. My little pale self, I don't know, I think I would disappear with that neon. I got that specifically to make Bird of Paradise lamps. Much like what I sent you, Gary. Which hopefully you'll have within a week. Alright, other options. What else goes with that? I do have this blue. And that quarry, oh, turquoise. Let me take a look at my wardrobe again, because I hadn't thought about making a hat until I accidentally made one. Thank you. It is just a real simple V-neck and tiered. I got it on Temu, so, you know, cheap. Very comfortable though. But I can't wear it out without complete cover-up because, you know, the cancer thing. Like this, I wore, even down to the coloring circle today, I wore this lace thing I have over it. Oh yes, pretty pink. It is nice. I really like it. This is the dress I made the rose or the flower pocketbook for. I'll make a hat to match it. Let me go get it. Why didn't I think of that? My purse. I made a double rosebud closure. Isn't that cute? I needle felted that. And the rest is wet felted, and then just needle felted together. I put a couple extra leaves behind that. So this is crossbody. So, you know, lands right there. And it's easy to open and close without having an obvious button. So I made this for this. Why not I make a hat with greens and then make another flower? But I just realized the problem right here. I don't have these pinks. I have to get more of these pinks. That is the problem. Okay. Then I will hold on that color and this, but we'll make a whole outfit. And I'll make another flower to go on the hat. And I will have a complete original outfit, except that I didn't make the dress because I can't sew to save my life. Oh. Okay, so let's make one just for the hell of it. I will not have to get demanding. You know, it does cost so much money to get all this wool. It's cheap on the onset, but then when you start making things, you realize you need a 2 ounce of every color that you can find. So Emma, this is what I've been obsessed with. I know, it came out so good, didn't it? But then again, it's not really that much of a coincidence since I got the dress and I needed something because I had no pockets. That dress and that sweatshirt inspired me to make stuff that I can wear. And I love that because I can't sew, knit, or crochet, but I can wet felt. So yeah, I'm all smiles, man. All smiles. And it's something I've wanted to do since I was in my early 20s. Make stuff. Well, back when I was a musical entertainer. You know, you want to stand out on stage without looking like an idiot. So you invest in your wardrobe, but I just did not have much money, and also lived here in New England, and there were not a lot of options back in the early 70s and 80s. Most exotic stuff we could get was from an Indian clothing store. Okay, towel. Where's the towel? There it is. So now even though I'm not entertaining, not really, although I hope I am entertaining you guys, it still is something I've always wanted to do, and now it's more of a fashionista kind of a thing. It's like I can make my own style. I don't need to copy anybody. Oh, sorry about that. What I started to say was I bought. The local grocery store has their own brand. A lot of them do. Well, they offered, like, for $2.69 a large, normal size of liquid lemon-scented dish soap. It was the cheapest thing in the whole place. And I said, okay, let's get it. Well, it turns out it's super concentrated. I filled this up with water and only like, a little bit of the soap in the bottom, and it's too strong on its own. So I just went and got a bowl of water and just put a few squirts of this, and you see by the suds that might be enough, which means this one bottle is going to last me a long time. I mean the original. Okay, so colors. I do like blues. I like all colors. I don't look all that. Well, see, I love sitting there and crocheting, but I lose track. I can't follow patterns. I'm kind of dyslexic, and I'm always reversing things. And even when I'm crocheting, I'll suddenly hit a point where I suddenly forget which way I'm doing the needle, and I go the wrong way, and I go a little while, and I go, oh shit, and I gotta tear it all out, and yeah. So I am not good with those things. I like to weave on a lap loom, and I am totally in love with wet felting and needle felting extra stuff on it. You can always try everything. Exactly. Try anything. That's what I was telling everybody today. I was telling everybody in the creative circle everything I tell you guys. Like, don't be afraid to suck when you first start something new, because you're most likely gonna suck. You might have beginner's luck and you get something good, like my very first project came out good. But I have a background from doing art for a lot of years, so a person just first trying that, they don't know their colors or how to use a color wheel, any of that, their first work might really look it may be fabulous, but if it looks it doesn't mean give up, it means keep trying. That's how we learn what works. All right, let's go. I'll tell you what. That salmon pink does speak to me. It really does. And you know what? For some reason, I don't know if they overdid it or what, but they had a sale on it for $2 an ounce. Isn't that gorgeous? $2 an ounce. And guess what? The sale is still going. I don't know why. It is a gorgeous, really beautiful to work with. Very fine 19 micron merino wool, which means it's really the softest one against your skin. It drapes like fabric. It's really nice. It wet felt fast and beautifully. It is a color I normally avoid because I'm so pale. And being so pale, some colors just don't make me look better. They kind of look weird. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to mess around a little. I like this rosy color, don't you? The Lord said, make a joyful noise. Doesn't mean it has to be pretty. Well, actually, that's a good point, because the point is what you feel in the process. It's not the final judgment, which is not really yours, because everybody sees things differently. I might love this color, and someone else might go, yeah, I can see why it's on sale. And I go and look, I don't know why it's on sale, because it's so beautiful. Emma, thank you for stopping by. I am so happy to hear that you're happy. Now and then, send me a note. You know how I am, being a grandmother to all of you all over the world. And that's true. Never worry about the judgment. There is no final judgment. We just keep going and going and going and creating and creating. I've got to get more of this. Okay. I'm going to hold it up. I have to put this down and then hold it up. All right. You know, sometimes we are our own worst judges. If I was buying makeup, I would not be getting this color because this color would look too peachy, and that peachy can go orangey. But what do you think of these two together? On my face, how do they look? Is this a good color for my skin? And I'm so... Sweet dreams be yours, dear, and I think they'll be. I'll see you next time. You can stop by and see me. I haven't seen Charlie in a couple of weeks, but I'll say hello. Delarice. It's a great hair color, so that'd be good for a hat. These two colors together. I can make concentric circles and make it all blend together. I think we're going to try that. It's a first, right? It's not the only. It's going to be mostly this because this is all I have of this. Alright, so it's a two-sided project, which means I have to divide this so we make sure we have enough for both sides. I'm even going to cut it rather than take a chance. I never looked good in pink hair, but I do love my blue hair. Let's go ahead and take some more. Since the bulk of it has to be this color, since this is what I've got most of. I see someone sent me a message, and I do not know whom. It was you, Gary. A picture. Oh my God, I look like an elf. I'm so glad we have this time together. No, I'm not trying to be Carol Burnett either, because nobody can do Carol Burnett like Carol Burnett. And I'm not that kind of funny. I know she made me laugh a lot. Her and Tim Conway and Harvey Korman, Madeline Kahn later. Oh, who's who of comedy? Oh, I'm so glad I bought a whole 4 ounces. They only let you buy 4 ounces max. So I got all 4. And now I'm going to want to buy more. Alright, so this is a little short. Eek. I can't afford that. We're going to just go ahead and cut it another piece and put that other aside. It's like a baby's blanket. Okay, that is for side B. This is for side A. Let me move things around here just a little bit because it's annoying. And I need some tea. Alright, since we're doing a circle, we're going to start in the center and move out. And I do want a beanie top, and I want that to be the darker color. We have to make sure we have this color in the center. Now usually we try to spread it out more. We're not going to felt to the degree that I did the vessels, because I don't want it to stand up on its own like that vessel does. I just want it to hold its shape as a hat. Remember, leave some to go around the side so we can do side B. Oh, you're a little short. Come back to you. It's going to pull a longer hair. Extra. Loosen it up. It does. What brought on that comment? Yes, read something? Miracles through science, for sure. Oh my God, this is the finest wool I've ever handled. It is so silky and light and feathery. Oh, it's a good thing I didn't discover this when I was still on the farm. I would have talked Glenn into taking on sheep. Which, given the coyotes out there, would not have been the wisest choice. I think there were jokes about me doing something like that when I first moved in, and after my visit to the local owned bookstore, buying up all the how-tos in the country kind of thing, field guides. I thought I was Martha Stewart, and I don't even know who the hell Martha Stewart was. They told me. They carried a magazine by her. It's like, oh, well, thank you. No, I'm not like Martha Stewart. I was doing so much of my own compared to some of them that that's why they said that. But I had the luxury to do so. They were all mommies and newlyweds, and they didn't have time to do the kinds of stuff that I had all the time in the world for. Yeah, actually, you don't like what? I love Martha. I think she's great, especially because they were comparing me to her. But of course, Martha has always had money and the freedom, well, except briefly, freedom to do what she wants. And know, her world is definitely different from the average person. I like her very much. I like that she was one of the special guests that came back for the last show of Stephen Colbert. I'm gonna miss the hell out of him. Fuck CBS. And Trump. Paramount. Everybody that had anything to do with getting him fired, taking bribes, they don't have my support. Censoring our comedians because of a thin-skinned president. Yeah. There was a song a long time ago. It was naughty. You didn't hear it on all the stations. But I think it had to do with saying F you to the Vietnam War and such. It's right, by itself like this, it looks like baby pink. It doesn't look like salmon, light salmon pink. Very much like baby blanket pink. Oh, the schmutz. Barnyard schmutz. So, tomorrow, baby pink. Baby. Baby. Is that who said it? I have to go and see that again. I loved that series. It was really so original. Such great comedians. And we're always going to miss Moira. Like Madeline Kahn, no matter how long they lived, they're always gone too soon. The schmutz is over here now. Well, you know, I used to have a harder time saying goodbye than I do now. Now I'm just grateful that they came at all, that they expressed themselves and soared so beautifully, gave the world so much joy. You know, we have archives of their work that we can look back on and laugh at and laugh with and all that. So I don't get sad like that anymore. I'm sad we're not going to see more work by them. But I also know that such intensely creative spirits are going forward to create even more. So I can understand people leaving, you know, it gets tiring being an old human, especially if, you know, you want your greatest joys and desires have to do with a lot of physical activity that you can't do anymore, in which case you're spending a lot of time actually frustrated. And I think that's what kills a lot of people. It's not that it kills them, it's like, I have no further use of this body. It's not doing what I want. I'm starting to get unhappy. Let's start over. And home we go, and back we come. So I feel bad, that people are going to miss them if they were close to them and all. Of course, nobody wants to say goodbye. But it doesn't bum me out like it used to as a younger person. Or I should say, before my father's visit. Since then, I've had a different perspective, obviously. All right, and now, whoops, here we got to do another side. We did out. Now we have to go across. Let me double check. Yes, across. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Let me think a second. The pink has to go with the pink, or we're going to end up not doing what I wanted. Stay there for a minute. Can't do too much back and forth, or it's gonna not felt right. Oh, I'm going off the edge here. Don't get too crazy. I'm gonna sew a pair of undies I can wear and make a clothespin bag. Oh yeah, I've seen people do that. All you need is something that's made out of strong cotton, washable. Or you can go to the dollar store and buy a net bag. Then that might be a pain. That's right, clothespins. I don't remember what mine was made out of. I did have one. But not everywhere I lived had the ability to use clothespins. or put a line up. And in country, you know what happens in the country when you put clothes out. And especially if you've got a whole tribe of dogs and cats. Neighborhood full of wild things. I think the underwear, I've seen that done, that's a very good use of old undies. Because the white cotton stuff is just very sturdy, made to last. No. The sides here have to go that way. Come back here, yo. This better be the last for the side. We're going to run out. Just enough. My God, it's 4:26. Considering the snooty people that are going to be your neighbors, I think underwear is a good choice. And again, the price that you told me, that's kind of like entry-level housing now to buy a house. It may not be snooty people after all, you know? That price would have been a very expensive house when I was in the market to buy a house. You know, I can't remember what we paid for our first house. Wow. It's because I hated it and I didn't want it blocked out the price. My brain wants to say $197,000 for a 2-bedroom, 1 full bath, attached garage, garden room side and back and front. What bummed me out was removing everything that attracted me about the house in the first place. The front lawn was ivy, like 6-inch deep ivy. And we had to get rid of it because we were informed that that's where rodents hide. It's like, what? Yeah, you don't want that. That's, oh, you know, rodents live in that. It's like, oh, great. We ended up pulling out. And you know what it's like pulling out old ivy? It spreads by roots. Yeah, it was hard. Then, the bamboo out back made a wonderful wall between us and a cul-de-sac. Boy, was that a mistake to remove. But we, I don't know, I think the concern was we needed more light for our garden, which was real. But I think the secondary concern was it reaching water pipes, which is a big concern. That's why we couldn't have my favorite. I wanted a weeping willow, not realizing that that's not a good place in Southern California for weeping willows. Weeping eucalyptus, yes. But it would have taken up our entire little triangular shaped yard. That was back in the day when I could be talked into things. It will grow like crazy. It is a renewable resource. Once it's in there, though, it likes it there. Now, I don't know about down south, but I know in California, it thrived. It thrived and it thrived, and I loved it. It did give us shade and privacy, and I said it was a mistake to get rid of it because when we did, people started jumping over the wall that separated the cul-de-sac from our backyard. So they were doing a shortcut to the mini-mart, and that was a drag because you have to catch them to stop that. And then we were gardening our food and we never got an ear of corn because they kept stealing it. It's like, I'm not gardening here anymore. It's just too much effort to just see it all go to strangers. We planted, we put a partial fence up on top of the back wall and planted this gorgeous bougainvillea, which, if you're familiar with that, it has thorns. Nobody wants, so it's like a living fence, but you have to, it's a vine, so you have to give it something to climb first. Once it's established, it's hardy, it's gorgeous. You get a green shade and then whatever color you chose. We chose this, it's kind of magenta with some orange in it. It was beautiful. But it's not a friendly plant. You put it up there for privacy and protection, in other words, because you don't want to pet it. Now, bamboo is another fast-growing fence you can make. If you don't want to wait for the trees, you can plant a row of bamboo and trees behind it, and then as the trees get big enough to give you privacy, you can cut down the bamboo or trim it. You would want to trim it. It goes Well, depending on the bamboo, there's a few. There's actually lots of them, but pick one that's, pick one with a double use. Some people use it to make furniture. Matter of fact, a lot of furniture is made of bamboo. And the cool thing about that is if you cut it, you cut it when it's green, you can bend it while it's green. And there are amazing architectural wonders built in the middle in the woods, the rainforest, made out of bamboo. And they last for about 20 years. And they can make them with no nails. Just an entire habitat made of bamboo. They're gorgeous. It's a woman architect, actually. She's been trying to bring some of the technology to the US. And we need to have people more aware of bamboo, because with all the deforestation and how long it takes 15 years to grow a loblolly pine to harvestable size. 15 years, it's about 15 feet. They cut it down and turn it into egg cartons and newspapers and such. But they can do the same thing with bamboo, only they don't have to wait 15 years. They can have 2 harvests a year. That's how fast it grows. And you can make toilet paper, I mean, any paper product, bamboo. Viscose, the gorgeous stuff I use in here, that's bamboo. When you want fabric that drapes like silk, but isn't silk, that's viscose. So bamboo is just one of the greatest natural fibers and products that we have. And it can be the answer to a lot of our problems. Because, we are right now in a culture that is only recycling less than 10% of the waste we're making, which means 90% of our waste is like, what the hell is happening with it? That's why I changed my detergent to sheets that dissolve, that come in a little, 15 to a little envelope, way less than a big plastic jug that nobody is recycling, and those little packets do get recycled in plastic bags. It's like I'm just, whatever I can cut out, but some stuff I can't. Like, what am I gonna do? I've got to find, like what you have, Gary, pool lining, but I only need so much of it. I'm not gonna, it's expensive to buy a pool cover or lining, whatever that is. It looks just like bubble wrap, only it's super strong. Yep, bamboo fishing poles, bamboo birdhouses. Look up the uses of bamboo, what you can do with it at home, and you will have your mind blown. You're good with your hands. Hey, you might have another trade if the company you work for goes under, or they close your location. Yeah, bamboo is hollow. A lot of flutes are made out of it, pan flutes and all that. It's very strong, it's hollow. You can use it for all kinds of stuff. I've seen people make water fountains and use split bamboo to make the water go down, like water slides. All kinds of things. Basically, it's like already made wood, except instead of being flat, it's curved. Come on, we gotta get the rest of you wet. You're being stubborn. Don't knock anything over. I would go chasing beads again. So come on, come on, come on. Let's get you wet. See, I have always been on my own. Well, not always, since I was, well, 15 and then when I was 17. I've had lots of jobs. Most of my time, I've been self-employed. And part of that has been because of my disabilities. I can't just take any job. And so it's given me more of an independent mindset. And everything I do, even though I have no intention of going back into any kind of business, I look at it with an eye of how can I serve, number one. I'm always guided correctly when I ask, how can I serve? I get inspired. Sometimes the best thing you can do is serve yourself and take care of yourself. And so one of the things I'm always asking, or used to always ask, is, what can I do with this? What can I make with this? Can I sell this? You know, when you do enough craft shows, you start thinking that way, you know. You've done crafts, you know what I mean. But see, I'm definitely in the habit of looking at something and going, how can I make money with this? Can I make something useful? And with all the craft shows I've worked, selling useful and selling just decorative, people do spend on decorations, obviously. I mean, that's where your spare money goes. You buy tchotchkes for your house, or, you know, you get stuff for your decor. But when you come across the married couples, or married with children, their priorities are a little different. And they start doing what I do. It's like combined functionality with aesthetics. It's like you need a tissue box, you need something to hold your tissues or whatever. Oh, well look, there's a guy that makes really funny ones. They look like little cows, except you pull the tissues out its butt. Yes, they really did sell those. Or mailboxes, kind of the same way. Now, after all these shows, I found that there are some people that do fairly consistently well. And that's when they're selling things that are practical. I worked at a place called Artisans Village. And when I say worked, I mean my stuff was on consignment there. And once every 2 weeks or so, we had to work there and put our hours in, walking around, making sure everything was okay, helping people who wanted to buy stuff. And I liked it. It was a nice cooperative. But what was frustrating, there was a #1 bestseller in that place. Mind you, it was all original stuff, right? All stuff you had to make. Well, this was one guy who silk screened little banners. That would say, like, welcome. Like little flags, you know what I mean? He would silk screen it, and he would buy the metal hooks to hang it. And he sold these like hand over fist. Every holiday he had a different flag. Different occasions, different flags. That man made more money than any artist doing original stuff. His stuff was not like fancy. It was like something you could see clearly from the street. So it wasn't that fancy. It literally would sometimes just say, welcome. Those sold all the time. But if somebody had the same kind of an idea with just a hand-painted sign, no, those were not on the top of the list. Which surprised me. I thought, if you're out there for a Happy Easter sign, wouldn't you want one that looked more Easterly than just a little sign that had in script that you got off your printer, Happy Easter? I would think. Oh yeah, in most countries they make use of bamboo. America was making use of bamboo. The paper industry did not like that. Every time you see something on a shelf, what you're not seeing is American ingenuity, or ingenuity at all. You're seeing the one who paid the most to get that stuff in the shelf. It doesn't mean it's the best, it means they had the most power, most money. Just like, you know, everything on those shelves. And you know, because you work in a retail store, you know how important display space is, right? And you know there are things that they rotate to keep the eyes, the views fresh. Well, they also buy, in the grocery store, they buy shelf space so that it's going to be, the biggest brands are going to be eye level for the average height. They want it right in your face, and they buy that shelf space. All your potato chips, all that stuff, same thing. They buy that level, and those are deals they work out. You can have our Pepsi, but it's got to be displayed this way. Period. No arguments. So all over the world, bamboo has been in use. I saw a lot more as a child. We were getting stuff made out of bamboo. There were a lot of tea sets, and bamboo was being used to make handles for things, be wrapped around. It looked really cool. Made all kinds of stuff. Like I said, Americans, once it goes into a production state, you've got people controlling that and making decisions for who's going to see it, when and how. Okay. This just looks huge, right? Not quite. Okay. All right, now, oh, that is a beautiful color. I do like that. Let's get the air out of there. You're still wet. Check that out. We can't have that. It will not felt properly. Don't be stubborn. I really soak it and then squeeze it all out. And that's why we have multiple towels. All right, let us try to get this up the right way. Remembering that this is going to be a hat. I'm not going for the kind of texture I would for a vessel. How are you still wet? Yeah, get plenty wet. We're going to put wool right on top of you. Look up bamboo architecture. And if you see a woman's name, that's the one to click on. The problem is, although you can build like crazy with straight bamboo, you don't have to kiln dry it, you don't need toxic chemicals. That also means it's going to break down naturally. So it's like kind of recycles itself. But it's in the rainforest, it's constantly exposed to, what else? Rain. And it still lasts 20 years. You can imagine if you brought something like that, you built something like that here, and coated it with something more durable to, you know, protect it from the elements a little more. But bamboo has strength in certain ways, not all like, it's not like a hardwood, even though it is extremely hard. Again, it depends on how you build with it, and that's what's so interesting about it. It can get really big. I don't know which side the little beanie part is going to be. We won't know till last minute. Okay. Let's lay it down. Going to go across. Around in circles. Across. Around a circle, across and down, around a circle. Maybe we'll do that. Let's try it. You're not working. Go back. Come on, don't be fussy. We don't need to do that long. Oopsie. Don't get excited. Hot in here. It gets so hot in here. Excuse me. I made myself a delicious salmon salad with some of the salmon I baked last night for dinner. You're not, I'm going to put you aside for felting. Let's have it again. It was so good. But I like my salad with salad in it, so it's very crunchy. Because I threw in chopped cucumber and a chopped pickle. Well, a chopped slice of pickle. And it was very good. The cucumber tends to make me burp. So if I burp, I'm not trying to be rude. Just letting you know I had pickle and cucumber. Oh wait, I'm going around again. Right. Schmutz. There you go. That is Baba Blue, Baba Pink. What happened? What do you mean, what happened? What happened? Something? Burped. I grepsed, as we used to say when we were little. All right, let me stand up and look at it from above. let's go with the next color. Now, since this is my first beret, I'm only going 3 layers because I don't know if it needs a 4th one. We're going to find out by seeing how flimsy the first one is. If it turns out just right, no problem. If it's too flimsy, problem. Now, next one will be 4 layers instead of 3. I know most of the stuff I do is 3 layers, except for the purses. The bottom of the purse I make 4 layers because I want to make sure that there's lots of felting room. Aloha. How are you, Maui? Hungry. Sounds like it's been a busy day. Busy morning, because for you it's just about lunchtime, right? Just about my din time, but I ate a very good lunch of salad, salmon salad, so I don't know what I'm going to do for dinner. I have some chicken thighs I need to put in the freezer, so I can always take one of those and cook it. Maybe I will. I got some more purple potatoes, and they are so good. Definitely a little earthier than the yellow or the white or the red. Well, kind of a little bit like the red. They're closer to the red than they are the white. I like them. If I was growing taters, I'd go with the purple ones because they're healthier than the regular. And it's not just because I like purple. It is the most unusual potato I've ever seen. It really does cook up and stay purple. Like purple. Until you brown it. And then it's purple and brown. But if you ever see any, but you're not going in the right direction. Stop that. Yeah, if you see any, then definitely avail yourself of some. They're cool. All right. And now time to drench this side. Do we have enough soap? I think so. And I'll have to get the net. Yeah, just start getting soaking wet, okay? No rubbing yet, just pressing. Too delicate for rubbing. I need a lot more water than this is giving me here. It's like all foamy now, which is usually a preference. But yeah, I need more water, I think. Let's see how far it goes. Last night I looked for a neighbor across the hall from me. She left the door wide open. On the street with her wheelchair stuck. Whoa, I guess you were meant to save her life, huh? I think it's time for them to put her in a daycare. Because I believe those apartments are for people who are self-sufficient or have a home health aide that's there all the time. Oops, sorry guys, don't mean to hit that. All right, I've got to flip this over so I can get these edges tucked. Tuck the right way, guys. Come on now. And don't felt until you're tucked. Oh, there's one of those pieces of schmutz. Come here. Oh. There's something big going on now. I don't know what it is, but I guess we'll hear about it in the news tomorrow. Our government. Oh, what is that? That is a black hair. Nothing against black hair, but not okay when it's in the middle of pink. So, how did you get her back? What time was that? Child. I don't like talking to my neighbors. They're weird, and on the town Facebook page, their child shot the windows in your old car years ago and never paid for it. Yeah, you got hateful neighbors, honey. The owners of the building must put changes in their house into adult house. That means they don't have to help these seniors. Around 8 p.m. They have to make sure their tenants are okay. That's a quick con job. Those people who own it should be very well exposed. I mean, you can't because you live there. But yeah, I'd be looking to see who I could turn in. Well, that shit happens all the time. As I warned one of our tenants about, the new deal that came with the new lease this year, that we're not allowed to make any money or make anything that we can sell or make tips or donations, or we can get a 30-day notice to be evicted. Thank you, Trump. Yeah, so they made all these laws that to completely screw over people like us, because what they want, according to Project 2025, is us dead. We're useless now. Maui is often a blessing. There are no accidents. There are no accidents. We attract things. That's it. We attract things. One of our residents, she crochets really well, I was saying earlier, and she was getting ready to have a full-on wailing cry, and I got a hold of her and I was like, stop, you cannot give in to the fear. First of all, like the manager said, whatever happened in the past doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is from the time you sign the contract on. They don't want to know if you made $25 selling a tchotchke. But that was last year. Now this year, you're not allowed to even make that $25. However, like I told them, I said, well, I might not make a profit. I'm not allowed to make a profit. But there's no reason why I can't be reimbursed for the materials I use. Yeah, so how come they got the money to help build that place because it was going to be senior housing, and then they changed that, which means they lose that government money. Maybe I better use the net. I'll use the net. I don't want to take any chances now, because now it's time to make this sucker little shrink up a little. And that'll be my little beanie. I think it needs a little something. A little more. criminal upper class is running everything right now, and they are criminal as hell. So just remember, if we don't change it in November, there will be no changing it for at least a decade without a revolutionary war. It's best to do it through the ballot box. Because we do not want civil war. Oh, I see. So they made their money, they got their money to build it and saved themselves a ton of money on their investment, and then they switched its use, which is supposed to be illegal because they used government funds. They're not supposed to be able to just switch. They're still getting HUD, they're still getting rent assisted. Yeah. Now see, our building is not seniors only. It caters more to seniors. You know, like if you have a problem, they'll help you make sure you get on the lower floors in case of fire. They're very concerned about our safety. We have an annual fire safety thing where the chief of the fire department comes over. They train their new people here in this building because, you know, seniors. And elevators. You don't have an elevator, do you? You're just a 2-floor thing? They got rid of the maintenance crew. Yep. I'll bet you those are the same rules I got this year. Well, like I told my neighbor, I said, don't be afraid and don't be intimidated. I said, I know how you feel. I was so angry and outraged by this that I tapped the letter and I was ready to march downtown. You know, they didn't give you actually a copy of the letter. That's how shady it is. They give you a copy of that letter where you agree to all these terms that are quite outrageous, like $400 to replace your key if you lose it. $400 to replace a key to your apartment. And if it was a whole new core, I could understand, but they don't. They can take it out and use it in a different apartment. So it's not like they're losing anything. But now it's $400 if you lose your key. And the post office key is only $10. You know what I mean? So it's like, because we have locked post boxes in the building, and unfortunately we don't have a mail room that they can store things like boxes for us. No. It's just for the mailman to walk in and fill all the little cubbies, and for us to leave our outgoing letters, you know, mail slot kind of. That's it. We don't have any special support like that. So you probably have the same form, but they don't give you a copy of the letter to keep. They make you initial it and they attach it to your lease. So I made a copy of it. And yeah, I was going to take it to the magistrate in town. And then I investigated further, and it's like, no, it's a federal change to keep better tabs on us, to make sure they're not helping anybody 1 cent more than they want to. They promise, oh yeah, now they promise nothing and they deliver less. That's why I'm telling you, we have to change things. It starts at the bottom. It starts with your local government. People get lazy about it. They just assume things are running, and they let somebody else run it. And they don't understand that they're the people that need to run it. If you have a conscience, if you have any understanding, you should volunteer. Or like they've got town councils, all those, they all count. And I have seen from living in the country, in a town of 4,000, the whole town was 4,000, and watching what they did to control the 2 blocks of downtown and how they screwed people because they'd get attitudes. Oh, there's a surprising amount of power in those little teeny communities, but that's where it starts. That's where the criminality starts, where people realize they can get their hands greased to give favors, and then they get bigger grease and they go into higher offices. So it's a setup, and that's why if you want good government, you've got to be part of it. You can't just assume other people have your best interests in mind. Most of them don't. We wouldn't be in the state we're in if they cared about us. Yep, Fox News has been telling their minions that anybody not a Christian nationalist is the enemy, okay? Get it straight. We are now in a fascist regime. They want you to hate your neighbor. They don't want you to love your neighbor. They want you to abandon your neighbor. They don't want you to help your neighbor. They're trying to frighten everybody. And you have to be stronger than that. You have to know your rights so that you're not easily frightened. I just saw a great clip of a guy who had 2 people come up and act like agents. They had badges on their waist, but they would not they claimed to be federal agents. We just want to ask you some questions. The guy said, no, not until you show me ID with a name on it. And they said, well, here's my badge. No. Does your badge have your full name on it? No. Well, show me your proof that you work for the federal government. Show me your name, or I'm not talking to you. They said, turn off your, because he was recording them. And he said, well, turn off your camera. He says, hell no, I'm not turning off my cameras. And this is going online the moment you walk away. Either show me your badge, show me your proof of who you are, or I'm not answering any questions. They walked away. They never showed identification because they're full of shit. They're just trying to intimidate people. And if you're a person of color, you're the first on the list to be intimidated. And if you put up with it, that makes them feel like they have license to do it again and again with you some more too. You know how bullies are. They come back to the person they succeeded in bullying because they already won that battle. But then one day it fails them. I got bullied. I had my eyeglasses broken like once a week when I was in high school because I didn't fight back, and I didn't want trouble, and I didn't want to argue. And if someone wanted a cigarette and I didn't have one, well, I could get my things broken or torn. And then one day, listening to everybody else being scared of the same little bitches in the girls' room, I just lost it. I just literally saw red, and before I knew it, that girl was shoved into the sink, and 3 girls backed down away from me. And I was the smallest of all, except the smallest one that was the bully, the bigger bully. She was like a miniature person, but she had a couple of larger girls. It was her little gang of 3. And they did cause me problems. They did follow me home, and if I wasn't wearing a body cast, I'd be in a wheelchair right now, if not dead. So I know what it's like to stand up to these people. But if you don't, you're their prey for the rest of your life. And you never forget that you backed down and got the shit knocked out of you. But like my dad used to say, a broken bone will heal. You can get a tooth fixed, and we can always buy more glasses. But if you let them win, It's more than a piece of whatever plastic to replace. It's your well-being in the future. Once they know they got you, they'll just keep going until they run into a place where they're stopped. No matter where you are, well, anywhere in the world, but right now, especially in the US, no matter where you are, no matter what your circumstances are, you need to know what your rights are as a citizen. Especially if people are just walking up and challenging your citizenship just because of your race or color or your last name, or you sound a little different from the neighbor. They're profiling on every kind of bizarre level. So know your rights so that you don't become a victim. Why can people Why can't people be entrepreneurs? It begins with an E. Why can't they? People can be entrepreneurs, but you can't be an entrepreneur if you are getting subsidized rent. If they're helping you with your rent, everything you earn, everything about you is basically laid open. You are an open book. They have your bank accounts, your PayPal, your email, because now they can use AI to investigate. This is becoming more and more a surveillance state, so they can watch you automatically. And although that's annoying, what's really bad is that they're using these models to predict criminality. And you can be in trouble for nothing you've done at all, ever, and live the most innocent life. But if the cameras catch somebody that looks similar to you doing something suspicious, and you're the closest match the AI can find in a face, a profile, you can become the suspect without ever touching anything criminal. That is what happens when you have AI running things and a surveillance state. I'm having coffee, eggs, mung bean, and chives with cheese. Sounds good. Are you mixing it all up? Not counting the coffee? We're getting closer. Obviously, this is going to have to shrink some to become a hat. Now, I just ordered myself an extra 10 pounds of flour. I've got 3 boxes of cream of wheat coming. I'm stocking up on my wheat products, my cornmeal. My cornmeal right now I'm doing okay. I've got a bunch of self-rising flour, plain old cornmeal, and Jiffy cornmeal mix. It's all good. We have a wheat shortage coming up. If you were not aware of that, you need to be, because the price of wheat is going to skyrocket, and everything you eat that contains breadcrumbs up is going to go up in price. And some stuff will not be available on the market, period, because it's going to take over a year to get caught up, and that's only if enough people crop it. But we're looking at 21% less wheat being produced, period, which means, well, the riches buy it first. So if you want to make sure that you're going to be able to have bread in the coming year, and I mean like plan a year in advance, get yourself some extra flour, wrap it tightly in a plastic bag, excuse me, with some bay leaves, and put it in cold storage, or at least a mouse-proof plastic container, you know, like a bin, and put it up, and it will last. It's already quite old by the time it hits your shelf, so it's not like you're getting brand new food. But the problem is that we've been using all of it, and the supplies are not being replaced. So the warehouses are emptying. So on top of the fact that everything is more expensive to transport, and that's driving the price up, literally not having the material to start with is going to be painful for a lot of people, especially if you like making your own tortillas and stuff like that. Luckily, it doesn't take a lot of flour, but if you do your own cooking from scratch and your own baking, it doesn't last all that long. So put up some of your flour while you can. Because come harvest, you're going to see the prices, well, you know, all they have to do is hear that the prices are going to be going up, and they already just put them up before the stuff's even an actual shortage. What's disturbing is or very few people are aware of it. They're not announcing it. Like I said, I want to run on the wheat by private consumers before the big companies can buy it up, so they can keep making their products. That's why I say learn how to make it yourself, man. It's so much cheaper. You can make a beautiful loaf of bread for $1. Why pay $8 for it? I've been shocked by the amount that people are asking for a loaf of bread. You would think they were putting gold leaf in it. In fact, we were talking about bread this morning, and I wanted to know, like, when did I learn to cook and bake and all that? And I said, well, my father was a gourmet cook. I got to watch him, but I wasn't allowed to participate. Yeah, I was able to stir things if they needed an extra arm and that kind of thing, but I was not actually taught to cook. I was taught how to season a cast iron pan. That was a good thing. I learned everything on my own when I left home. I had to, because I was on my own. I learned how to cook my own breakfast. Actually, I knew how to cook my own breakfast when I lived there, because I had to cook my own breakfast. But aside from accidentally making butter out of whipped cream, I got a bag of flour, and there was a recipe for Italian bread on the side, and that's how I learned to make bread. I went with the recipe on the side of a bag of flour, and I got really good at it, because I lived in a trailer that was very cold in winter. I cooked every day, so I baked 2 loaves of Italian bread every day. I got strong arms and lots of good bread. girl at work. She was asking for cigarettes. Oh yeah, don't trust her. She only asked after you locked your locker. Yeah. That's really funny because we've got a moocher here. She's on my floor. And today I saw her mooch an entire bag of dry cat food. It's like, I cannot stand that girl. Is she sweet? Of course she is. But she goes on every floor and she's got people she hits up for money, for cigarettes, for weed, for cat stuff. It's like, I tried to rescue the kitten that she ended up taking, and I said, I don't want her to have this kitten. Her cat fell out of the window on the 6th floor, broke a leg, she didn't even go down and check. That cat became food. So she should not have another pet. She can't take care of it. She's bumming kitty litter and cat food. How was she taking care of that cat? But I guess somehow they had to give her a second chance. And I'm like, Now, I'm not a troublemaker. I'm not going to get her evicted because life's hard enough and she's not all there. And she's not an evil person. She's just a constant user of other people. And if they're not aware, like the minute you move in, she's got her eye on that. I wasn't here 3 days before she started hitting up on me for, let's see, soda, juice, cat food, cigarettes, cash. So she could buy cigarettes. It's like, yeah, you know what? Cigarettes in Connecticut, the last time Rich bought them here a couple of years ago, it was $14 a pack. And I'm sorry, you could buy a lot of cat food and kitty litter for $14. Well, maybe not a lot, but enough to get through a week for sure. The one that's not all here, did I do something? What do you mean, did you just do something? She's been stealing cigarettes from you, and you went ahead and gave her some anyway because you were being nice. But she is fake. They're $16 a pack now? Oh my God. They were 25 cents a pack when I started smoking. I remember feeling outraged when they went up to 30 cents. 30 cents a pack? Well, I'm gonna quit when it hits 50 cents. That came and went. Then it was, when it's $1 a pack, I'm gonna quit. I didn't quit until it was, well, actually, I was in North Carolina, so North Carolina being a tobacco is a vegetable state, I was able to get a pack for $4.29 because the tobacco itself, the cigarettes themselves are cheap. It's all the taxes that the state puts on them, the stamp taxes. When you consider how little you make for your job and how hard you work, and where you come home sometimes in so much pain from your job that you have to take a day off to recover, I would say that your money are hard earned. And if she can't afford her habit, then she's got to get a grip on it. I am not against helping people, understand that. I have helped people my entire life. And if you're hungry, I will feed you. If you're just taking advantage of people because you're just too freaking lazy to take care of yourself, and your diet is mostly soda, fuck you. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. There is a time for people to grow up. It doesn't go by age. We'd like it to, but it doesn't. At some point, people have to get mature enough to help their own asses. I never asked people to supply my habit. I was very aware that it was an optional purchase. It wasn't like cat food or food. Those were non-optional. I don't blame them. Hey, I am sorry you're homeless and I wish I could help you. But I also am a poor person. I make less than a lot of other people. I'm so poor. I mean, I make less money than a bunch of other poor people I know around me. Because all of my money for retirement was earned when the minimum wage was $7. Actually, it was under that, but I was working at a place for 6 years and I got up to $8.35 an hour. Wow! But you could live on the money back then, up to a degree. Also, I was married and he was working full time. So we were able to eat, and I did not mind helping anybody with anything. But when it comes to anything, it's like, yeah, I'd love to help you get a buzz. Here, share. But I'm not buying you anything. You need food? I'll be happy to get you a hamburger. I have given away my last meal because I was confident that the next day I would have food. So I have no problem with sharing. Don't misunderstand. People get down on their luck, and that's not hard to do anymore. And most people, unfortunately, right now, more than 50% of our country is one paycheck away from not being able to make their rent or their utilities. And they're looking at, they're going to go out in the street. It's not their fault. The system is rigged against them. But there you have it. That doesn't make me responsible for them. I have to be responsible for me. I can just as easily end up on the street because of this government wanting to take my Social Security. So, you know. Yeah, right. You gave up buying cigarettes. You didn't give up smoking. Exactly. Like, I have somebody who was previously a cigarette addict for 26 years. I get it. And if I have a butt in that cigarette and I'm going for it and you try to keep me from it, you can expect to be wrestled to the ground, and I will get that butt out of your hand, because I've done that. But I would never go next door and bum a cigarette. I just never had that in me to go knocking on neighbors' doors. Oh, do you have a cigarette? I have never done that in my freaking life, even with all those years of smoking. So, no, I can't have more sympathy for someone else than I had for myself. Food is one thing. Tobacco's another. That's not food. That's like people who are in the street, literally in the gutter because of their alcoholism. I've dragged a couple people out of the gutter. And I mean literally in the freaking gutter, like laying there. It's like, come on, man, come on, you're gonna get out of the street. Come on, you're gonna get run over. Someone's gonna park a car on you. And I feel for these people, but at the same time, I'm just one little person, a poor person on top of it. I don't have the ability to just take them. Well, now I have no car, so I definitely don't have the ability to help people with that, but I did not mind giving them food. Here, fill your belly, but I can't buy you booze, and I'm not going to. As we can all do what we can do. It's good that you were there to rescue the woman in a wheelchair, because, well, obviously she's not getting the help she needs. Alright, we are seeing felting happening. Yay! I'll be cutting a hole for my hair there. Anyway, I try to focus on what I can do. And I leave it to the creator, aka source in the universe, to put in my path anybody that I can help. Because I'm here to help. But if I can't help you, I'm not going to beat myself up over it. If this works, this is going to be my first hat. Now this method, not using the rolling pin, makes this felt way faster, I discovered. So I've got to be careful not to overfelt it, or I'll end up with more texture than I need and more shrinkage than I want. This is supposed to be a beret, so it should be kind of flat. I did not add any embellishments because first we got to get the basic pattern down. Make sure we can do that much. Yeah, see how it's curling up there? It's pulling up against the plastic underneath it. Come on, nipple. Try and stay. If I have to, I can needle felt that in. Oh, we're almost there. But it's still not enough shrinkage for my hat. So let's continue. Maui, if somebody complains to you that they're upset that someone's trying to bum cigarettes from them, remind them that they're the only ones that know the magic word. No. No. Sorry. No. I mean, you don't have to be rude, but it's not exactly polite when a stranger walks up to an old person and says, "You got a cigarette, man?" It's like, yeah, not for you. I paid $17 a pack. You want to pay me for one? Come up with the 1/20th of a $17 pack and get your money. Now, in North Carolina, they actually had a display of selling cigarettes by the one. I mean, seriously, it was one cigarette in a little tube. Like, isn't this kind of wasteful? Then they had, then they came up with 5 cigarettes in a pack. I'm not really sure because I was not smoking at the time, but when I'd get gas, I'd see stuff on the counter. Yep, another black hair trying to get itself felted in. Maybe off her pack if they clean out a garden plot. Well, Maui, That's a good way to help people maintain their dignity. The hobos during the Depression were not all bums, as history tried to make them out. They were usually working class men who no longer had a job because of the Depression, and they went looking for chores they could do to earn a meal. So, you want to trade labor for cigarettes? By all means. It makes them feel better that they can do something. If they're too crazy for that, then you don't want them in your garden anyway. You don't want to encourage them being around. But you gotta be clear on what it's going to cost. What they have to do it right, and then they get paid. And doing it for a pack of cigarettes is a lot smarter than money, because you never want to be out there with cash on you, or you'll be the next person with a shovel in the back of the head. I lived in the city. I'm aware of the really bad behaviors. But lots of people are just honest people who ended up in a bad situation, and a little sympathy will go a long way in helping their self-esteem and recovery. Like I said, if you wake up and the first question you ask is, how can I serve the whole? How can I serve Source? Well, the only way you can serve Source is by raising your vibration. That's basically being happy. Or you can't hear Source if you're unhappy, you just hear your own misery. You have to raise your vibration to hear correctly. What do you think, like the charismatic churches, you see people witness, they get overwhelmed and they start speaking tongues and they witness the Lord. What are they doing just before that? They're basically working up some steam. They're singing, they're carrying on, they're with the Lord. They're with that Spirit. When that Spirit gets high enough, they're inspired and the Spirit speaks through them and to them. Because when you hit that vibe, that's when things flow. And if you're looking for connection with Spirit, then that's what you're going to have. You're looking for musical inspiration or artist or artistic inspiration, any of it. When you are working with your higher vibrations, you will always produce better stuff. You will get better ideas. You'll help the right people instead of being just a schmuck who gets used by everybody who can spot a sucker from a mile away. I mean, people used to sit around with a sign saying, "We'll work for." I can do this. Need a place to sleep tonight. It's $20. I need to make $20. Now, being in Hawaii, you probably don't have what was available in some cities where you could find a flop house where they literally will rent out a room by the hour so that you can get a night's sleep and then you leave. Get out of the cold. Or get off the street, but you gotta have some bucks in your pocket. And I would hate to see us go back there, but obviously we are back there because we have so many people who are homeless. No work for them, plantations closing, not enough housing. Yeah, we got a lot of woes. Societal woes. And that's what we get for voting Republicans into office. Modern Republicans. Isn't enough vertebrae to make a spine if you collected all of them. Alright, I think we have it as felted as I can do without, well, we gotta take the plastic out now. So that's the top of the hat. And now we have to make a hole. Oh my God. It's always the nerve-wracking part. And there it is. We're not going to make too big one because it's going to stretch. But I got to get it started. It's not felted as deeply as it needs to be yet, so we have to remove the center plastic. Come on. Easy now, we don't want to destroy the edges. Okay, we see some shrinkage. And the plastic is sticking out. That shows it shrinking in the right direction. And now the scary part. I made the nipple on this side, but it actually belongs on the other side. We're just gonna cut that off. I forgot, I'm working inside out. So now we're looking at the outside. And this is going to become, as I make it wider. But first we've got to finish felting it. Make sure the edges don't fall apart. Because boy, would that be embarrassing. I can see your head through your hat. You know what, I'm going to use a little more soap. And this time we're going to go easy now. Soap on the water. Sponge in the water. Before I spill it all in my lap. That's a lot of water. I wonder. I wonder if I can just pour some of this back in, which would be nice. Yay! Well, that saved me some trouble. Now see what dyes did not work. Some of that pink is bleeding. But that's not a terrible thing at this point. We're not worried about it. Okay, you go over here and dry. Because if this comes out right, you know I'm going to be getting a whole wardrobe of these, right? Okay, I'm going to go get my other beret so we can take a look at the whole. Okay, now this is a small beret. As you can see, I can felt this down some more. Look how big that is. So I'm going to felt this more, make it shrink, but then we're going to start turning this up. So I will have a little band, and we'll scissor that and then heal the outside edge. But first, let's go ahead and tighten that up. Good night, sweetie. Blessings upon your little head, too. See you tomorrow. Sorry. So I started putting together another wool order from this one from a farm in Pennsylvania, because the prices I think are very good. But just getting the minimal of what I want, it's like already up to $31, not counting shipping. So I'm holding off a little bit, because if I buy just, let's say the blue wool, I need the blue wool first. If I get the blue, I still have to pay a fortune in getting it shipped. I can go up to so many ounces and still pay the same amount of shipping. So I'd rather not waste the shipping money and get a larger order. But it's the end of the month, which means things are a little tight. And I really can't go ahead and indulge in this thing. I'm still going to buy a plant for our front yard. We have a little garden plot. So next week we're supposed to go and buy some bulbs, and I'm looking for a rosemary plant. But ever since we got permission to do some of the gardening, the manager, who's not the manager of this building, but the manager who manages this building and a bunch of others, she's a hostile bitch. So I hate when she comes over. But suddenly, because she knows we're getting involved with the gardening, suddenly she's visiting like once a week to look and see what we've done. Because if she doesn't like the colors of something, she'll just pull it right out. She won't tell us what colors we can work with. But she'll wait for us to do the work and then judge it. So yeah. It's wonderful to own your own place. I really wish I did, but on the other hand, I'm glad I don't have to deal with all of the responsibilities that go with that. I have been a house owner. And you're never as free as you think. Alright, we've got plenty of felting here. I don't know if I want to felt that anymore. I don't mind it being a little bit larger than that, especially with enough room to put my hair up in if I wanted. Alright, so this is gonna be, we gotta open that up more. Let's see. Twilight Zone. What about the Twilight Zone? Oh, we're in the middle. You want your own place so that you have more control over your surroundings. But on the other hand, if you need something fixed at this age, I'd rather have somebody else do it for me. Like, I'm relieved that if the boiler goes, I'm not responsible. I can't make it blow. I can't make anything fixed. It's up to the management to take care of that, right? I definitely can't get my head in that. Now this one, this is actually knit, I think. Yeah, this was sewn. It wasn't made in the traditional felting method. Even this little, the beanie point was sewn in. And I'm not going to be doing any sewing, so we're going to just be using the natural characteristics of the felt itself. But I think the next stage actually is I need to do the soak. It needs to get some hot water and vinegar so we can start returning it to its natural pH. A garden inspection. Oh yeah. Gotta hate that woman. I don't hate her, I just can't stand her. Because she feels and believes and acts like she is superior to everyone who lives here. And you know how I feel about that. I need a head mold. So I can put this on the mannequin head and go, yeah, you need that there and this there. I'm going to make myself a little thing on the top. All right, then keep that. Well, I still have to cut because we got this. We got to go a little bit further. This is not going to go on my head. Like my city, if my head was only that big. Okay, we'll save that and make a little doodad to stick out the top. My little beanie top. Okay, mine's going to be a little weirder than normal, but it is an original. Yeah, we're going to end up needle felting this in. Not a big deal. But I'll make sure we have plenty of length. Don't be dropping me. These are sharp, sharp scissors. My embroidery threads scissors. Okay, we'll reserve that. Here's my pancake. I won't have my hair up in a ponytail. Obviously it needs to shrink a little more, but I think we're going to do that in the hot water and vinegar. This is a little bigger, yeah. I could shrink it a little more, but I don't want it to be so stiff that, you know, it looks more like one of my vessels than a hat. We're going to make it kind of like a bowl right now, but it'll change into a hat. Presto changeo tomorrow. Because now it's like 6:18. That means dinner must happen if I'm to get to bed at a reasonable hour. So tomorrow is Saturday. I have no chores other than cleaning. So I'll be home all day, which means I'll be here a good portion of it. So I hope you'll join me tomorrow and have a lovely evening. We will see how my first hat turns out tomorrow. Tonight I'll soak it, do its thing, get on with it. So until tomorrow, aloha. And everybody else watching, thank you. Remember to leave a thumbs up. I keep forgetting about that, but it's important for me somehow, even though I'm not monetizing.